big fight. Angry, Daniel went to bed without eating anything. His attitude confused me. Considering all my efforts, I couldn't understand Daniel's behavior. What should I do? While heating up the food in the fridge, I muttered to myself. The next morning, on a rare day off with no plans, I woke up a bit later than usual. Daniel. He's not here. I couldn't see Daniel, who usually sleeps until noon. He must have gone to his parents' house. With that thought, I got ready and headed to the hospital. Mom, hello. Oh, Gina. You're off today? Yes. How are you feeling? Well, as usual. My mother collapsed at work around that time and was then hospitalized. Knowing her, she must have felt ill before collapsing but continued to work, leading to her current state. Even then, she was working on her laptop in her hospital bed despite not feeling well. How about you? No problems. I smiled in response to her worried question. I didn't want to worry her further. By the way, the maple trees near the company are beautiful again this year. I took some photos. Want to see? Yes, show me. Changing the topic, I showed her the pictures. After a pleasant conversation with her, I left the hospital. I have a message from my mother-in-law. Checking my phone, there was a message from Daniel's mother. Reluctantly, I decided to respond. It's about time. Where have you been? I was at my mother's hospital. What? Prioritizing your own parent over your husband is unacceptable. I felt irritated by the shouting voice coming from the phone. As expected, Daniel had gone to his parents' house. Her complaints continued. Why do you trouble Daniel? As a wife, you should respect your husband. Are you getting carried away because of your position? And you don't even have children due to infertility. I wish he would become independent. Daniel always runs quickly to his parents' protection. It's really pathetic. Thinking this, I responded vaguely and ended the call. What's wrong, Gina? You look upset. Oh, uncle. Are you here to visit mom too? Something like that. My uncle, who had been watching from somewhere, approached me. Behind him stood a man. Uncle, is that gentleman a work acquaintance? Yes, he might be involved in something that affects you, so I'll introduce you. I'm James Miller. Pleased to meet you. He handed me his business card and I gave him mine. Then my uncle said, I have something to discuss with my niece, so could you go ahead to the hospital? What was the call about? It was from my mother-in-law. I explained the situation with a wry smile. Daniel neglects housework and runs to his parents' house at the slightest conflict. And his mother defends him and blames me for being infertile. Hearing my story, my uncle looked troubled. I want to keep this from mom. I don't want to worry her more. Understood. My uncle nodded, looking somewhat distressed, and I parted ways with him. Then it happened shortly after. What, Mom? When I rushed to the hospital after hearing my mother's condition had worsened, she had already passed away. Stunned by the sudden loss, I stood there in a daze. Unable to think of anything, my uncle supported me and even arranged the funeral. We did it. Now the inheritance is ours. Really? She was the CEO of a major company, right? How many millions in inheritance is there, I wonder? The wife's inheritance belongs to the husband's family. We can say goodbye to that shabby house. The laughter, inappropriate for the occasion, snapped me back to reality. I heard Daniel and his parents laughing and talking loudly at the funeral. Everyone, please leave. My uncle, seeing me frozen and disturbed by their words, kicked them out of the funeral. Though Daniel and his parents tried to resist, they left the funeral venue, criticizing my uncle, under the cold stares of those around. Gina, if you ever want to cut ties with them, just let me know. Thank you. Afterward, unable to bring myself to return to Daniel's house, I decided to stay in my mother's grand mansion for a while. The house, built with love by my mother, was filled with many memories. Planting flowers in the garden for my mother's comfort, playing hide and seek in this large house on weekends, Even though my mother was busy with work, she always valued our time together. Being in the house reminds me of such happy days. Feel free to use this house when I'm gone. My mother had said that during her lifetime. As I considered making the house my own, the doorbell rang. It could be my uncle, worried and coming to check on me. Since my childhood, my uncle often visited without notice.